What is going on, everybody? Hard pass. We're back. It's been a couple weeks off. Had a lot of shit going on, and me with my. I have been pretty sick, and just been kind of a busy couple past weeks. And then with the Braves, I want to watch the Braves play at night, so they've been kind of occupying a lot of my evenings and stuff. So we have been missing y'all. We're glad to be back. What's up, Matt?
What it
Welcome
do,
back. Rim Breezy, how are you doing, brother?
dude? I am living the life, man. Yesterday was a great day for me. I know it was even better day for you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the sports right now, it's just been incredible. Football, as bad as the football season's been for me, I'm still just happy that it's here. Baseball came to
Braves did
a
it, baby.
wild ending. Braves pulled it off. Basketball's back up and running. I'm more excited about this live than I've been for any of them yet. It's been crazy.
So, welcome back. Welcome back. Everybody pile on in. Let's pile on in. We're gonna have our own parade of sorts. It's a little bit. It's kind of a surreal day for me today. Uh, as everybody knows me, I'm a giant sports fan in general. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and watch my soccer team play. Hell, I live in Arizona and I watch Gamecock football. That should explain enough right there. I'm a giant Braves fan. I love all the sports. And finally, um, it happened. The last time the Braves won the World Series was 95, and I was about 5.5 years old, or about 6 years old. So yeah, I don't remember that. And one of my sports teams finally did it all, finally won it all. I've watched YouTube videos. I probably watched the final out about 30 times already. Um, but this ain't just for me, or this is for everybody. The
Mm-hmm.
Braves, the Braves have a giant fan base. The Southeast, the greater South in general is a majority of Braves, Braves country, and the way we did it was spectacular, man. We sit here and it's kind of weird because I was like sitting there and kind of like in awe. What's going on, Tracy? How you doing? I was just sitting there. I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to be feeling because I've watched many other sports teams win it all over the years. My Panthers have come close twice now in my lifetime, and I just haven't got over the hill yet. Tottenham got all the way to Champions League final and lost. It's just always a little short. But
Mm-hmm.
this time, the Braves, and of all years, you guys know, you probably listened to us throughout this past year with baseball. It's been a rocky season to be a Braves fan,
The
and
the storylines are insane. Like just the total amount of things the Braves went through this year. There was a time. There was a time I remember us sitting here doing this, and like we were getting close to the midway point. They couldn't get above 500. They were struggling, and I just remember us kind of having that conversation. Like, dude, maybe we just pack it in, wait for next year. Like when Acuna got hurt, I remember like the amount of like confidence that the Braves would do anything when he went down was just like, dude, we're just not going to do anything. Our best player's gone, and it's just been all year. It started right off the rip. Soroka gone again. Like hoping to get him back. Nope, you don't get him. Then
Darno
you
tears his thumb. You got Marcell Ozuna breaks his hand,
Azuna.
then chokes his wife out.
I
It
mean,
is. It's just one thing after another. And to be honest with you, man, Freddie started so slow,
yep.
and in all, starting pitching was bad in the start. The bullpen was bad. The Braves were a bad baseball team, and I kept saying that. I was like, no matter what, they have to fix so much stuff because all top to bottom, we just wasn't playing good ball. But I didn't give up on them all the way. I was just like, man, if we could, because what gave the Braves hope and the fan base hope was how bad the division was
Yeah.
and how tight it was. You'd watch the Braves lose and the Phillies and Mets will lose on the same night. And you're like, okay, well, I guess we're still 4 games back. and you still have to play each other, so that's a big turning point. And I mean,
Dude.
and what happened at the trade deadline, I kind of came into it. We kind of remember we had a podcast right before it, and I'm like, the Braves are going to dabble a little bit. They're going to keep fans interested. Maybe we do win the division, but we won't do nothing crazy. And then right when I posted something on Twitter and I pinned it to my page, and it was like, the Braves did exactly what the fuck I thought they were going to do. They were going to splash a little bit, just to kind of patch a few holes, but not really go all in. And literally, I pinned it to my wall. And as soon as I did, I saw and the Braves got Rich Rodriguez, the pitcher from the Pirates, who, by the way, didn't play at all in the postseason, but was a big part of the regular season. And they also got Jorge Soler from the Royals. I'm like, wait, what? This came in like 15 minutes after the deadline passed. And I was like, okay. Now I could see the outfield, because we traded for Eddie Rosario too. And at the time, Eddie Rosario had to pull the bleak and was going to be a month away from being even able to play, from healing up and rehabbing and stuff like that. But I always asked Mike, like all the years, I've always been like, dude, we need to go sign Eddie Rosario, because he's a left-handed at bat and he's just a solid baseball player. And it was just kind of surreal, because I've always been a Jorge Soler fan. He's just a masher. He gets in the box and he hits it a mile away. And, he was really bad this year, start of the year.
198 when he was traded. He was hitting 198.
But the funny thing about that 198 is I picked him up 2 weeks before the trade deadline, because I needed in my fantasy team. I needed a guy for some power, and I had a guy go hurt. So he hit like 8 home runs in 14 days. And then he got traded. And I'm like, so they see something. He's starting to see the baseball differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to be a Royal, man. You get pitched around so much and stuff. And when you're up there, when the games don't really matter. I mean, you hate to say this, but this is how it is.
You're just up there taking your cuts.
You're just up there trying to get your numbers, and then you go sit down. So every at bat started meaning a little more for him, and he was a big part of the turnaround. But overall, what turned the team around was everything's just started gelling. The pitching started doing well. The Braves infield, at one point in time, Dansby Swanson was in fuego during the season. End of the season, he cooled off toward the end. He had a pretty bad month there at the end. But what Dansby Swanson is he's a clutch player. He steps up in the clutch in the playoffs, and that's when he really balls out. But everybody kind of had their moment, man. It wasn't just a one guy, one team kind of deal. If I had to say my favorite moment of the whole postseason, and I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but
this is your moment, King. This is your moment. You got the ink, you got the hat. It's championship. It's basically parade day for you, bud.
I got this in September. Ever since I got this tattoo, we've been the best team in baseball, stats wise, record wise, and everything. Coincidence? I think not. But the best. There's a couple. So we'll start with the Freddie Freeman going yah on Hader in Game 4 to beat the Brewers, who everyone had. Brewers had a lot of people had the Brewers to win the NL. That was pretty special. And then I would probably say overall, my number one moment was when Matzik came in with a guy on second and third with no outs and struck out Albert Pujols. I forgot their backup bench bat guy. I forgot his name. He's like a big dude. And he struck out Mookie Betts on 3 fastballs to hold him scoreless. I couldn't believe it, because you remember the year that what's going on with Tracy? You remember the year that that the Panthers were almost undefeated? that they
Mhm.
ended up losing last year. You remember how much I hated the Arizona Cardinals that year?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You remember how,
That
because
was you
that's
were
all,
so anti-Cardinals. It was wild.
because that's
You
all
didn't even
everybody
care.
talked about.
You didn't even care as much about the Super Bowl as you did beating the Cardinals.
I know. That's how I felt about beating the Dodgers.
I
Like
mean,
finally beating the Dodgers, the Galacticos super team LA Dodgers. Beating them was my World Series. And
yeah.
I was like, and that's why I was just, it was pretty cool. It was a cool, because last year I thought we could win it all. Last year I went into the postseason thinking we could win it all. And I went in to every game kind of thinking that way.
Mhm.
This year was different. I was like, we made it. I'm proud of them boys. They turned it around. We won our division. And whatever we do in the playoffs, we do. I literally said that. I'm like, whatever we do, we do. And we just went ahead and fucked around and won the whole damn thing.
And won the whole thing. I will say, like last year, because of course, when you were here, we watched every Braves game, and it felt like last year was the year. It just seemed like everything was right. Everyone was kind of hitting their stride. And, they took that big 3-1 lead on the Dodgers and just slowly watched it crumble away. And that's one of those things where it's like, dude, you just hope you get back to that point and have a chance to turn it around. And then the way this season started was just like, dude, it's like everything went so, everything went so right last year.
Right.
So perfect that was the year. And you're just like, dude, the way this one started halfway through the season, like, dude, like last year, this team was better than it is this year. And then all of a sudden, I've told you this multiple times. I've told other people I talked to, that trade deadline to me will go down as the single greatest trade deadline I've ever seen. And because every year in the trade deadline, you hope you get the big splash player, the one guy that's going to put you over the top. The Braves got 4 dudes that took that outfield, the outfield which had been the weakness all year after Ozuna got in trouble and then Acuna got hurt. That outfield was terrible. And then you add Jock Peterson, and then you bring back Duvall, you get Soler, you get Rosario. Now all of a sudden, something that was literally holding the team back is becoming a strength. I mean, you got some mashers in there. And
it's crazy that it takes 4 MVP caliber type guys, because Jock had his moments in the
playoffs.
Series.
Oh yeah, in the first series he was unreal.
And then Eddie Rosario clearly backpacked the Braves in the Dodger series. And then Jorge Soler, who was out with COVID for the Dodger series, came back and won the MVP of the World Series. It took all those guys and Adam Duvall, robbing home runs, hitting grand slams, to replace Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah. And
that's how special that the guy we lost was.
That trade deadline, those moves, it was just, you went from, I know we watched it last year. Every single time NCarte came up to bat, it was just like, bro, he's not even hit out the infield. Yeah. What are we doing? And so, like, that was a guy that the Braves had to rely on last year, the year whenever, they lost to the Dodgers. They had to rely on NCarte. I would take every one of these guys they picked up over NCarte hitting.
But the thing is, we've been screaming that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something.
It's like finally something clicked and people realize that. So, and that infield, your infield, I mean, did stuff that I've never seen done before throughout this season. It was, all of them mashing home runs and playing out of their minds. The Braves are in a good spot moving forward, but it was so perfect to see those moves make such a difference. And dude, imagine being those guys. Imagine being Soler coming from Kansas City, Duvall coming from Miami, Rosario coming from the Twins. I mean, those were all bad teams, dude.
He was on the Indians, yeah.
Oh, the Indians, yeah. He ended up on the Indians. And then Peterson on the Cubs. And it's like, dude, they all came from bad teams. And today they woke up champions.
They hit the ground running.
So they did.
So the free agents, the big free agents is Jorge Soler and Rosario. Both those guys are free agents. Of course, Freddie Freeman, but I don't even count him as a free agent because, of course, the Atlanta Braves will bring him back.
That's one of the things I want, because you're the Braves guy. what's this team look like next year? Who's coming back?
So
Who
we
do they
are
let
still.
walk?
So here's a few good things, and I was kind of talking this to Michael earlier. The Braves led or came in second in the league in attendance. We went really far and we won it all. We were kind of wondering how our books were going to look because of the COVID year bouncing back. We didn't know if the year was going to go throughout, if the fans could show up. The Braves from the rip allowed 100% attendance. So we made a lot of money there. The cool part about it is we went ahead and restructured Morton. So he's coming back because throughout it was one of those things where we were like, we're going to go for it, but also we're going to try to make the team ready for next year for when we get Acuna back and Soroka back and all these other guys. So I don't know what's going to happen to Ozuna. I think we'll end up releasing him, or we'll probably settle with him. He'll probably go play somewhere else. He's not going to get he's kind of settled more of his lawsuits and stuff now. So he'll probably get a 60-game suspension if I had to guess, and then he'll probably be playing for somebody. I don't think it'll be a Braves. I will say next year we'll have the DH. Jock's contract, I think we have him for one more year.
I think he's one more.
One more year. So we will re-sign Freddie because we got to.
Yeah, he's at this point he's a Braves legend.
They already asked him, like, dude, there's a lot of teams interested, and he's like, bro, I want to play for Atlanta. I'm gonna be a Braves, forever a Brave. So we'll re-sign him. Then Duvall, of course, will activate that contract because we have an option for next year, which he's a Braves.
They need to never let Duvall go again.
Yeah, so he's forever a Brave. Now then, we need to. I want to bring back Soler. I think we're gonna have to choose between Eddie and Soler. I think we're gonna go for one of them. The cool part about the Soler, if we bring back Soler, is there's gonna be a DH. So I definitely think we bring one of those guys back. I'm not sure which one it'll be. I would love to have both of them back, but I just don't see there's just not enough bats to go around, and they're not going to pay the guy who won the MVP of the second round and the guy who won the World Series. They're going to pay one of them. I think we're going to bring. Me personally, I would love to have those two guys and let Jock go.
Yeah,
if I had the choice, but what Jock is he kind of slumped a little bit in the World Series, but he's a really good bat for right-handers. But more importantly, he's a winner, and he wins
postseason. He's one of those postseason guys. His legend is built off of that. So an outfield, like you said, dream scenario is, and as much as you love Jock, but a dream scenario is Jock walks, Rosario, Soler, Duvall come back with Acuna. You put Soler at the DH, and then you run an outfield of Acuna, Duvall, and Rosario.
Yeah,
I think that's dream scenario across the board. But I do believe, because I was looking at the contracts last night, I think Peterson is under contract for one more year. Yeah. And I do believe, I know Soler's a free agent, and I believe Rosario is one as well.
Eddie's also. So he was up for arbitration, and they got rid of him. So the Indians picked him up for $7 million last year. First Braves game of the year and won the World Series. Good memories. Yep.
I can't remember Duvall. Sure. We'll see what Duvall's situation looks like.
So Duvall's contract is 1+1, I think. So he has next year, and then we have an option. So we
2022. Yeah, he'll be back next year.
So he'll be back next year. Then we have an option for another one. Nice. Yeah. So we're just kind of breaking down how it's going to look next year. The cool part about it all, imagine a team losing Mike Trout and winning the World Series.
Yeah.
That's what happened to the Atlanta Braves. But
that man was the best cheerleader I've ever seen, though. Acuna was out there wilding.
But it's weird because it kind of starts to feel like, you noticed every year the Braves have took a step for like the last 4 years. So we won the division, and then we won the first round. Then we went 3-1. Now we won the whole, then we lose the Dodgers. Now we won the whole thing. It's starting to feel more and more like this team is building up ahead of steam. We got a really young core. I like our chances next year. Just kind of talking about it for the rip. I kind of feel like we're the Astros. Where the Astros we're going up. Remember the Astros 3 years ago when they started making it and all that? And the Astros are kind of fading down now because they're going to lose Correa. They're going to lose these guys. But, and most of the pen is locked up, I think. Most of the pen is still going to be around.
Yeah.
So, Tyler Matzik, hats off to him. He was probably the MVP of the playoffs, to be honest with you. We would not be where we're at today without him and his big balls, as Braves Twitter like to say. But, I kind of get a little emotional for a minute because what the Braves mean to me is a little different. I know, I posted something today on Facebook and it was like, kind of give a shout out to my granddaddy. He was the biggest Braves fan I've ever known in my life. He was the biggest sports fan that I've known. He made me who I am today. He was a great human being. He taught me a lot, and he kind of took me under his wing when I was little, and he took me to a lot of Carolina football games, and I watched a lot of Braves games with him and stuff like that. And he passed away in, I think it was 2018. And before that, I was a Braves fan. I always have been. I was always rooting for him, but I was more of a Braves fan who'd watch 30 baseball games or so. Like just kind of a fan, but not like how I am today.
A little more casual.
A little more casual with it. And I would go and I'd watch him with him and stuff. And he would always be like, hey, you see the Braves game? I'd talk to him on the phone. How about them Gamecocks? What do you think we do anything? And then he would talk to me about the Braves, and he would go all depth in the Braves. And he got sick. And he got sick in the middle of the Braves season, and we were just starting to become good. We went through those down years. And while he was in the hospital, they didn't have Fox Sports South on the TV, and he was in the hospital for around, I want to say about a month. He was in there for a while. And I went and saw him the first day he was in there, and he said, Terry, it ain't got the damn Braves on. I can't watch my Braves. So from that moment on, I would watch the Braves game, and I would go visit him in the hospital and tell him what happened. And I would tell him about how we're looking good and everything. And so he ended up, he ended up going on a ventilator and passing away and everything. And it was kind of like, for me, I didn't stop watching them. It was one of those things where I just was like, and it was kind of weird because that year I missed one baseball game that entire year when he passed away. And then I kept it up on my phone, but it was one of those things where, and then I couldn't get enough of it. Then I couldn't stop watching it, and I always was watching it. And me and Michael would sit at the bar all day, and we'd have it on all the TVs, and we'd keep up with it really close. And then next thing you know, I'm watching 162 baseball games a year. And it's funny because I remember how bad we were to then us turning the corner and Granddad going, hey, how about them Braves? I think we might have something this year. And then to him passing away, and then to just the progression of the Braves getting better, the Braves getting better, the Braves getting better, to us finally doing it. And it was pretty surreal because when you come up and you're raised up as a Gamecock fan, me and Granddaddy sat in the rain. We watched a lot of bad football. He took me to all the games growing up. And if I wouldn't with Granddaddy, I was with Michael Adam, and I'd go see him before the game at the tailgates. And he always was even keeled, no matter what. We would suck, and I would be raising hell, and he would just sit there with a smile on his face. And he didn't, his fandom never wavered. And, I wish he could have been around for for one more time for one of his teams to win, but it's not the case. But I know he's up there happy right now, smiling, watching the Braves. So it was fun. It was emotional. It was interesting. It was wild. It was surreal. It was everything all together. And one day, Remy, and maybe not, one day Carolina might win something. Maybe not.
I'm not going to
But
hold
if
my
they
breath.
do, it was one of those things where it kind of made me feel like this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
To finally root for a team that wins.
It's right. It's literally, it's coming from the struggle. It's the story of the guy that comes from the struggle. Man, I never grew up with nothing and made it.
Right.
That's what our sports fandoms have been. It's like, man, I grew up watching 1-15 football teams, bro. Where you at? I grew up watching teams come one game short all the damn time. Now you've had that moment, dude. I like literally the whole time I was like, dude. I mean, the whole series, I was sitting there like, man, Terry's, either on cloud nine or he's losing his shit. Yeah, each at bat, bro. I'm like, bro, Terry's up and down, and then all of a sudden, I know we talked before the game last night, and you had
Right.
that even keeled sense to you, like, dude, like it's not gonna be. I remember watching the 3-1 Dodger series last year,
and
you were just like, nope, 3-1 don't mean shit. We losing this series. You were all about it, and they losing it. And then this one, you were like, even after they lost that game, you were like, it ain't a thing, man. We got this.
It was weird, man. I don't know why. It was
you had a confidence in you on that one. So I'm happy for. I mean, I've never been the biggest Braves fan. Growing up in South Carolina, you don't have much of a choice, especially when we were young. Baseball was kind of in its heyday. So it was, everyone's a Braves fan. So,
and that's when, we're young. We were more like the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire home run stuff,
steroid era.
You had a lot. And it was weird because you would be kind of like a Kid Griffey. I love Kid Griffey, and all kind of that stuff like that. And then we had the Braves. And the Braves was never the best team, but we were a solid baseball team.
They were always good. They were, they had that stretch of 13 or 14 straight division titles. And it was almost a story of, they were always good, never great. They won the one World Series. They went to the next one and lost it. But it was always they were a good team. And around here, it was enough. It was like they're playing in the playoffs every year.
Right.
They're a winner in everyone's book around here, like I said, because everyone around here is Gamecock and Clemson fans, and back then that was a tragedy.
I'll never forget. So I went to a playoff series. I can't remember which one. I was young, really young. Granddaddy and Daddy took me. It was played the Cardinals, and we ended up losing the Cardinals in 4 games or so. And Granddaddy, that was some emotion. He showed some emotion. He goes, I hate the damn Cardinals. That's what he said. And I hate the Cardinals too. But, it's cool to finally be but you kind of understood. You look back on those teams and you see why they're a good baseball team, but not a great baseball team.
Yeah.
They didn't have the top talent. We had some great players.
Yeah. Great players. I did kind of the same thing growing up as a kid with baseball that I did with basketball. It was more so like you said, Ken Griffey was my guy. Like whatever Griffey did, that's what I cared about. I was all about it. But of course, the Braves were always the team that I had on TV and could watch. I went through those years, the Andres Galarraga and Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, all the way through, Rafael Furcal, all of them. Like I remember all of them boys. Hell, I even remember back when they were back in the 90s, Kenny Lofton being a Brave and all these, all this time.
My favorite Brave growing up was Ryan Klesko.
Ryan Klesko being a Brave. Fred McGriff being a Brave. I remember all this stuff. So it's to see them come, like I said, they won the one 26 years ago. For them to finally pull it off was great. Now, There was one other thing before we move off of this that I wanted to get your opinion on, because I read this today and I was like, boy, Terry's probably not happy about this. ESPN did their way too early power rankings for next year. Did you see it?
Yeah, we're seventh or something.
Seventh. The Braves
John
are
Rocker.
seventh. Oh, John Rocker, dude. That might be a little bit of a black
Marvel
eye
spell.
in history.
Ghost Rose.
Get out of here.
Hey.
You're done. I mean, listen, the Astros, all that shit that they've gone through over the last 2 years that was well deserved, all the shit they put up with that they earned having to deal with, and still come out and make it to a World Series. Unbelievable.
Big ups to them.
Big ups
to them. I mean, they served their time. They got their boos. And if people want to hate them still, they can hate them. I don't hate the Astros.
Yeah.
I don't. Some of their young talent, it just sucks that they did that. They didn't have to cheat. They're so good without it. But it's going to be interesting for what they got going on next year. They're going to take a little bit of turn. I mean, they're still going to be good. They still have great talent all over the place. But overall, I just feel like now that we've won it all, I was really hyped into this year. I was like, dude, this year could be the year. Before the season started, I was really hyped on this team. And I think this team could be better next year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all still getting better. They're all young as hell. Acuna's 23 years old. Albies is what, 24, 25? Riley's 24.
Riley's 24.
I mean, this team, the sky's the limit for this team moving forward, especially if they can find a way to keep that young core together. Acuna's not going anywhere for several years with that ridiculous contract that he signed way too early. But I think the Braves could be on a pretty special run, especially if Soroka comes back.
It is repeat in baseball.
Is. But like you said, the pieces that they were missing and still won is unbelievable. So I really do think the Braves are on like the precipice of just being a special team for the next 5 years. Maybe more championships come from it. Baseball's such a weird sport. It's hard to determine that. I wouldn't be shocked if they're right there every year for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Well,
Atlanta can't win nothing, August. The whole city's been cursed for forever. The Hawks have nothing.
Has been broken.
Yeah, it's been broken. The Braves had one championship. That was the only major championship that the city of Atlanta had ever had.
Come on. And maybe 1,000 people would go watch the Thrashers play. I mean, Atlanta is not a hockey town, my friend. But now they're the Winnipeg Jets. So hey, there's your hockey talk for the day.
So, and one other thing, because we got a ton to talk about, but one other thing, I don't know if you saw the news that broke maybe about an hour or two ago, just kind of sticking with baseball, but the reports are that Buster Posey is expected to announce his retirement tomorrow. Just a all-time player, dude. I mean, 3-time champion, played his whole career out there playing catcher, tough position to play. One of the best hitting catchers I think we've ever seen. Former MVP.
Those Giants, they're getting up there in age.
Mm-hmm.
Crawford had an insane year. Buster had a good year. So it kind of sucked that they couldn't beat the Dodgers, but I'm kind of glad we probably wouldn't have beat the Giants, to be honest with you. They're a really good team this year. And what helped the Braves was how mismanaged their pitching, the Dodgers pitching staff was in that series. They just made everybody's arm go tired. But hey, we did it, man. We did it. And nobody could take that from me. So you can talk all the shit you want.
You got it for the rest of your life.
The Atlanta Braves won the Fall Classic. So we'll kind of switch gears a little bit and talk some NFL. We don't want to go too long here, but we haven't been around to talk a little NFL. So we'll start with kind of the news of the day, news yesterday coming out on Henry Ruggs, and sad news of a young lady passing away. in Vegas. So he had a DUI. He got in a bad wreck, and he ended up killing somebody. And he was going 156 miles an hour right before impact. So 2 seconds before impact. So he's probably going to go to jail. He got released by the Raiders. It sucks for the. I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about it in a sports manner whenever somebody loses a life over it.
Mm.
But it's like, man, you're a young kid with your whole life ahead of you. You got this big contract and everything ahead of you, man. But if you don't surround yourself with the right people who are in your ear helping you out, I mean, NFL service. This guy has no excuse. NFL has services that they can call that'll pick them up, and it ain't like an Uber.
No, it's free, and it's anytime,
and it's like an Escalade, Fat
Yep.
Daddy that'll pick you up in some luxury vehicle that'll take you anywhere you want to go, anytime. But he wanted to go, and it's sad. It's really sad news.
One of those things for me where you want to see these people succeed. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't ever look at like a young NFL player and be like, man, I just hope he bombs,
Right.
Like, I'll talk shit a lot of times and be like, I don't see the talent or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not sitting there wanting them to waste their talent, waste their life. And I've been sitting there thinking about it. I was like, dude, like, 1 second, I think to myself, like, damn, that sucks. Like, I mean, he's going to go to jail. His career's over more than likely and all this stuff. And then I stop and think about it. I'm like, no, like, you killed somebody. At the end of the day, somebody lost their life because of your irresponsibility.
Right. And I don't care what you are.
And I lose that sympathy. And it's, to me, when the first reports came out, everybody was like, wait until you pass judgment, whether he was drunk or not, that was irrelevant to me. I mean,
somebody on Twitter said, you getting a wreck at whatever, 4:30 in the morning.
Nothing good is coming. Yeah, nothing good's coming from that. But like I said, even if he was completely sober, to be driving 156 miles per hour, he wasn't on a major highway. We're talking about like a pass-through lane in the middle of Las Vegas. I mean, it's just tragic, dude. And I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know how he didn't come out of this worse. He was driving a Chevy Corvette at 156 miles an hour and hit a Toyota RAV4 in the back. And the front end of his car is completely demolished. The fact that he's still alive, and he had a passenger in his car, that they both survived. But the driver of the other car passed away, and she had a dog in the car too that passed. But I mean, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you literally cost somebody their life because you were doing stupid things that could have been avoided. And so, I mean, there it goes. That's, to me, he deserves some sort of punishment for this. He deserves to go to jail for an extended period of time. I don't want to see, oh, he's got money, oh, he's an athlete. I don't want to see the leniency that we see too many times for stuff like this. He literally is the reason that person is dead. And it sucks. He's a young kid, but you got to take responsibility for stuff like that, man.
Yeah, you got to have some responsibility, man. And prayers, thoughts of prayers to their family, to that girl's family and everything. Sad stuff coming out there, and the Raiders keep taking it on the chin.
Dude, tough time in Raiderville.
Yeah, I mean, you knew that moving a team to Vegas was probably going to be, they were going to have some ups and downs for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah. So moving on from that, we do have a question coming in. He says someone's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers, and we did have Aaron Rodgers' whole team was on COVID. Turns out, and they went on to beat the Cardinals in a game that was kind of up and down, went back and forth. AJ Green forgot to run a route, and Kyler Murray threw a pick in the game in the end zone. But that Rodgers has been playing really well. Now he has COVID, so he's going to be out. I don't know.
This is this is one of those things. What happens? We're past the trade deadline. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. We're past the trade deadline. What happens if Jordan Love comes out and balls?
Well, I mean, do you think that we both agreed this was his last year, right?
Oh yeah, I think this is his last year.
Oh,
but is this like dude? This literally could be the next Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady.
Stop.
I mean, it could be. I'm just saying. I have no clue. So to answer your question, August, no clue, because I have no idea what Jordan Love is. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him at all.
You're playing Adams no matter what.
Yeah, you play Devontae Adams because you know
he's Devontae Adams.
And he's going to be the main safety blanket for Jordan Love. But I'm just saying, man, like Drew Bledsoe back in the day was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And an injury knocked him out, and Tom Brady came in, and the rest is history. 20-something years, I'm still living that nightmare. So
I don't think it'll be that way. I think Rodgers will come back, and he'll finish his year out. I do think what's going on right now in the Packers is I don't care how many regular season – I don't care how many regular season games the Packers win. They do not play well in the playoffs.
No.
And
Aaron Rodgers is part of that.
Yeah, he's a culprit of that. But their team is, they never played well in the playoffs. I mean, how many times have they made it out? Once.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of, we're gonna bounce around all kind of NFL talk here. How about Von Miller? Von Miller,
dude,
getting traded to the Rams. My Rams pick is looking really nice.
We talked for the past several months about the Dolphins and if they pull that trade off for Deshaun Watson and everything. If they would have done it, I think I would have became a Rams fan. And I say that because the mentality of the Los Angeles Rams is exactly how I think football teams should be run.
Mm-hmm.
That, you got to think about it. So we've been saying for years, they mortgage their future for this or that. They keep making these trades. It's eventually it's going to come back to bite them. Well, it still hasn't. It still has not come back to bite them. They literally they just keep adding to this team. Remember when they first, they made all those moves and they made it to a Super Bowl. They they lost the Super Bowl because they had Jared Goff at quarterback. Mm-hmm. But they were so aggressive at just going and getting just stars.
They don't like draft picks. That's for sure.
And I mean, to an extent, it's to me, draft picks are a little overrated when you can go get a guy like a dude that it could help put you over the edge.
You just need one.
Yes, you just need one. If the Rams win one Super Bowl, if Sean McVay wins one Super Bowl, if Matt Stafford wins one Super Bowl, who gives a shit what the Rams look like in 6 years?
Just like how bad that Bucs trade was for the point guard in basketball.
No one cares. They won a championship.
They got their one.
It doesn't matter. I get it, but it takes one, and the Rams look legit.
How much does this legitimize the Rams' chances to beat the Cardinals this year? I think they were probably the favorites before this. I picked them literally to play the Bills.
The Rams are legit.
Yeah.
I mean, and you add a Von Miller, and Von Miller's not what he was 5 years ago. He's not pushing 20 sacks, but he's definitely pair him with Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd. Now all of a sudden it's who do you stop? He's easily going to be a guy that for the rest of the season could put up 8-9 sacks for the rest of the year.
This
which
is
could be what they
not
need
for the regular season.
No, this is to win the Super Bowl.
This is for the playoffs when it matters.
And that's what the Matt Stafford move was. They were good enough to get to the playoffs with Jared Goff.
Yeah.
But Matt Stafford, they think, is the thing that takes them over the top. And I mean, so far nothing is showing otherwise. They are real.
Dude.
What a move.
We're going to like I said, we're going to bounce around here. When does the Colts bench Carson Wentz? It's got to happen soon.
Bro,
because they're about to cost themselves
They are. It's weird because they're such a good team.
Dude,
and
he is so
he
bad.
he plays. There are times where he looks
good.
so good, and then he just does the dumbest shit. It's the same thing with Sam Darnold. It's the same thing we're seeing with Sam Darnold.
He threw a
You
pick
have
in the 2-yard line.
times. Oh, I know. I saw it, and it literally cost them that game.
Yes.
Like it was like, dude, how do you? Because going into the game, I think he was what, like, I'd have to look it up, but I think 11 touchdowns to 2 picks or something. Like, he was playing good football, not not MVP.
12 touchdowns, like 1 or 2 picks. Yeah.
Yeah. So like he was playing good football, but then he just does these things that are like, there's bad decisions, there's throwing into coverage, there's misreading a blitz, and then there's just literally giving the other team the ball. Just, here's a touchdown. This one's on me. It's clutch time. Who gives a shit? Here's a touchdown. And he is the king of that. But like I said, it's crazy because it's literally first 3 weeks of the season, Sam Darnold looked like he was a legitimate quarterback. Now all of a sudden, you start to see more and more of those, like, what the hell is he seeing? What is he doing? Like, mentally, where does this come from? And you just got guys that are like that. And Wentz, bro, like I said, the mistakes are just, it's not just, like I said, it's not, he threw into double coverage. It's like, why did he try to throw a left-handed pitch 10 yards down the field? Like, in what world does that work?
He does.
And that's the mistakes he makes. Yep. And it's so weird to me.
We got Matt Ritter coming in saying, when does Pittsburgh bench Big Ben?
Next year when he's retired. I mean, who else do they go with?
They're a 4-3 team, but they don't win because of Big Ben. That's for sure.
No.
Najee Harris is a stud. We knew he was a stud. He's a great player. Their defense is good, but I mean,
are they running Dwayne Haskins out there? You want to talk about a guy that just does some of the dumbest shit you'll ever see?
Sam Darnold's biggest hard pass is Jimmy Clausen. Sam Darnold's bad. There's reports saying that we was going to trade McCaffrey and first for Deshaun. I want Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to lie to you. I want him. I want him bad.
It makes sense for the Panthers.
I want him. Look, I want him because if he don't play, he just don't play.
So,
but
I don't know if this is the time to get into this.
Let's go. Go for it.
So, I do not knock the talent that is Deshaun Watson. Yes, he is top 5 quarterback maybe in the entire league. For a team like the Panthers, who have an established defense, one of the better defenses in the league, and they're young and they're only going to get better from here. You've got playmakers on the outside. You've got, DJ Moore's a really good up-and-coming wide receiver. I don't know what's wrong with Robbie Anderson this year. That's neither here nor there. I like what Terrace Marshall brings in the future. Whether or not McCaffrey was part of it, it doesn't seem to matter too much. I know he means a ton, but clearly y'all can still run the ball even without him. I think Deshaun Watson is on a team like that is a guy that puts them over the edge. I think that is okay. You've got an established team. Now they're looking at being a really, really good football team. Mm-hmm. I look at teams like y'all, like Denver. I've said it over and over and over again. The fact that the Denver Broncos just refuse to understand that they are a quarterback away from being such a good team. Then there's the Miami Dolphins. Now, I'm going to explain something to people that maybe don't follow us that much, because there's a lot of people out there that seem to think that if the Dolphins traded for Deshaun Watson, it would fix everything. And all of a sudden, we're a really good team because we have Deshaun Watson. We're a 1-7 football team. We are what we are. We are not good. As great as Deshaun Watson is, he played on a very bad football team last year that went 4-12. He played out of his mind. They went 4-12. So if Miami trades for Deshaun Watson, now all of a sudden you have a bad football team with a great quarterback, but guess what? You just gave up 3 first-round picks to get him. Now you don't have the draft capital to build around him. So now you're just a great quarterback surrounded by an awful team. For how long? Before he gets frustrated and wants out. Like, the fact that this went on as long as it did is insane to me. Literally, and I told you just right before we started, the owner of the team spoke to Deshaun Watson the night before the trade deadline. Now, our GM comes out today and is like, we were just doing our due diligence. There was never anything it's set in stone. We were just seeing what was out there. And I'm just sitting here like, bro, you got a young quarterback that you're not giving a chance.
Fucking him up.
You're not giving him a chance. I'm like, just imagine, because I've got a bunch of people, online like, dude, he's a professional athlete. This is stuff he's just got to get used to. I want you to imagine in everyday life, someone hired you and you were supposed to be the next big thing. And then immediately they're like, I think we're going to look at getting this other guy to come in and take your job. Like, I couldn't imagine, like,
but every week talk about it.
Yeah, and then like, we haven't done it yet, but just know, we're looking. I mean, like, I know you're doing your thing and like you're giving it your all, but there's this guy down the street, bro. He's coming. He's taking your job.
He's coming.
And it was so frustrating.
And then they ask your coaching staff, and you're like, I'm not. I mean, they left the door wide open.
It's so
until
insane.
They finally said the Tua's our quarterback.
The
how hard is
that to say, bro? I've said it since the beginning of the season. Even if you're lying, even if you're not telling the truth, there's a way to handle this. Okay, no, we're not talking to Deshaun Watson. Like, you just don't let that shit get out into the media like this, because this is what happens. All I know is we didn't do it. We didn't make the trade. No matter how close it seemed, no matter how many times the media said it was happening, we had a deal in place and all this stuff. There's reports that, of course, we wanted him to settle his lawsuits before we would make a trade. And then the Texans said, well, if he settles his lawsuits, we want more in return. Like, no. Let's just let this die. At least until the end of this season. So, thank God we made it past the trade deadline.
August says he was talking about calling for Bob's head. I mean, the Texans are not a good football team. They're a lot away from being good because how they were poorly managed from the prior coaching staff and how they were misled. But I will say they'll end up trading Watson. They'll end up getting rid of him sometime
next offseason.
But his civil lawsuit cases, his settlement fell through.
Mm-hmm.
They stalled. So I think they were trying to hurry it up for the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And now that that's over, I think that we'll see this drag on. We still got Matt Ritter's talking about the Titans signing Adrian Peterson. Derrick Henry, broken foot, injuries galore. Everyone's on IR. Everyone's hurt. The man of steel ended up getting hurt, man.
Bro, it sucks. I love watching Derrick Henry play football. I think me and you kind of come from that era where running backs were king. When we were growing up, running backs were. Yeah, I grew up as Ricky Williams getting the ball 30 times a game, like different than what it is now. And Derrick Henry's the last of that dying breed. The fact, bro, of course, we haven't played a game yet without him. He is 300 yards ahead of the next closest running back in yardage. He almost already had 1,000 yards. He's 937 yards. 1,000 yards is the benchmark. It's like he hit 1,000, you had a pretty good year.
He gets that every year.
You had a pretty good year. He was at 937 through 7 games. I just hate that he's out because I really think that this might have been the year. Call me crazy that we had another running back win an MVP award. He was at 937 and 10 touchdowns already, and it's gone.
And I love Adrian Peterson, but he goes as the Titans go. They follow him in the battle.
They follow Derrick Henry.
And without Derrick Henry,
I am very, very happy that Adrian Peterson's back in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's going to be, listen, we came into this season with no Adrian Peterson, no Larry Fitzgerald, no Drew Brees, no Phillip Rivers. We lost some absolute legends coming into this season.
He's
I saw that. He's like, if the Saints call me, I'll pick up the phone. He's been saying that the whole time, though. I think he still wants to play. But the fact that we get to see Adrian Peterson come back, what I can only assume is his last run. Right. I'm interested, though. I mean, he's 36, I think, now, 35, 36 years old. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about a team that lives and dies on running the football. So let's see what them 36-year-old legs can do. I'm excited to see it. I know it's not going to be the same as Derrick Henry, but it's still cool. It's watching, it's still watching Adrian Peterson run the football.
Yeah, I love Adrian Peterson. So you'll never not hear me say anything bad about the dude. He was amazing. Watching him play for the Vikings all those years was special. I love a good running back. I love a team that runs the football, and no one does it anymore. But
so, Matt, your top 3 AFC teams thing with the Titans, they lost to the Jets. We talked about it earlier. You don't lose to the Jets. If you lose to the Jets, you're not considered a top contender. Like, they've looked good ever since then. Like, they've beaten some really good teams since losing to the Jets, but you don't lose to the Jets. And I hate to say it, but I was slowly becoming a pro Bengals guy, and then they lost to the Jets.
The Bengals are who we thought they were.
It's done. You're back to being a bad team. I don't care what your record is. You don't lose to the Jets. You don't give Mike White, who I didn't even know who this guy was. I watch so much football. I know almost everyone that plays legitimate plays in the NFL. When Wilson got hurt, I said, I don't know who their backup is. I looked up Mike White, Western Kentucky, 400 yards.
Somebody spent $1,000 on him to lead the league in the passing that week.
Who has money? Yeah, who has $1,000 to do the guy that is your most prototypical made-up Madden character that was drafted in the 7th round throws for 405. The first Jets quarterback, Terry, since Vinny Testaverde in 2000 to throw for 400 yards.
Quarterback controversy in the Jets.
Listen. I know it won't be. I know it will not be, because that's not how the NFL works. The NFL, it doesn't matter. Mike White can keep balling. It don't matter. Zach Wilson will get the job back. But I will say this. They looked better on Sunday with Mike White than they've looked at any. They did that without Corey Davis, without their number 1 wide receiver. 405 passing yards. And his 2 picks bounced off of people.
They hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Hit people in the head.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I would probably say that, I don't know if about the 3 best teams in the AFC. I would say there's 1 and 2, which is the Bills and the Ravens. Now you can put them at 1 and 2 however you like. And then out of that, then the third is kind of like a toss-up between, I mean, the Titans are 6 and 2 and technically have the better record than all of them, but I'm not even going to say they're the 3rd best team. I think they're in that loop of Titans, Steelers, Browns, Chiefs, Raiders. You know, like that group.
What is wrong with the Kansas City Chiefs? What is wrong?
I mean, their defense is bad and their quarterback's playing really bad. But they're 4-4, and they could turn it around at any moment, I think.
They could.
Talent-wise.
Did you watch the Giants game? Did you watch that game?
They barely beat them. And they
barely beat them. And I noticed something that I've never really, because this is the first time I've sat down and fully watched a Chiefs game since the struggles have started.
Yep.
The Giants defense knew what they wanted to do. And I haven't seen that in the last couple of years. Like, they kept running those deep routes where Tyreek gets behind everybody and is wide open. The Giants weren't having that. They had that figured out. They doubled Kelsey and said, you're not going to dink and dunk to Kelsey all day. And then when they wanted to take their shots down the field, they were covered. I don't know.
The biggest problem with this team is what people forget is the Chiefs could run the football. It opened up the rest of the playbook. They could get 7 yards on 1st and 10. They don't do it anymore. They just refuse to run the ball.
But also, and I don't know how much this goes into it yet, but it is what I talked about before. When you pay your quarterback this absurd amount of money, now the Chiefs, they have other dudes that are just making absurd money. But when you look at the roster, it's very hard to run a football team when you have the highest paid quarterback, top 5 paid wide receiver, number 1 paid tight end, one of the top paid defensive ends, one of the top paid safeties. They've got stars at about 6 positions. They have superstars. And then if you look at the rest of the team, it's not great.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem. I just look at it like, there's so many holes,
but
that
talent-wise,
the great players can't make up
should
for.
be better than
Yes.
They should be running the football, but they don't try.
Yes, but they just don't even try.
Dude, I don't care who you are. It's still the NFL. You come off the field and go 3 and out and put that shitty defense back on the field, you're going to be hurting.
And he's thrown some picks. I mean,
he's doing some bad. Not only picks, he's looking like Carson Wentz.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, he just does some crazy shit sometimes.
They have shocked me how bad they've been.
It's because he feels like he has to win the football game. Every time he steps on that field, he feels like he has to go score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's wild. I didn't expect the fall off to be this drastic, this fast for this team. So, but like I said, this is going to be the same thing. As much as I think Patrick Mahomes is, the best player in the entire league, this is exactly what you've seen with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay throughout his entire career. There's no doubting that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's been top 3 quarterback his entire career. Every single season, he has won Super Bowl. And there's a reason for that.
So, yeah. So, I don't know. We're going to release a podcast. We haven't done it in forever. God knows. It's been about a month.
Spotify misses us, bud.
We're going to release a NFL podcast. We're going to break down last week's games, and we're going to predict next week's games. We're going to have about an hour and a half long podcast of nothing but NFL. So this is kind of just, alive to kind of brush on a lot of different things. Really alive to come on and grin and cheese about how good the Braves are. But yeah, so definitely be on the lookout for that. It's going to be more geared toward the NFL. We're going to switch gears and talk some NBA. So NBA is here, Breezy.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers are a yo-yo team. They're up and down like crazy.
Bro. They're going as far as Melo takes them. Really? They're going as far as Carmelo Anthony. Bro, the games where he plays well, they win. The games where he doesn't play well, they suck. He is killing it. Carmelo Anthony has been killing it.
Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
So the Warriors have been off to a good start. They're 5-1.
Shocker.
5-3. Utah Jazz 6-1. Hawks off to a little slow start, 4-3. Kind of surprising there a little bit. The Bulls are 6-1. They're off to a blazing start. The Heat,
tearing it up.
The Heat are 6-1.
Bro, the Heat are good.
Great start. The Heat are good. The Knicks are off to a good start. The Wizards are off to a hot start. The East is going to be pretty good this year. The East is going to be very, very tough. So is the West, of course, but basketball's back, and it's one of those things where, we're not going to kind of know who these teams are for a couple more weeks at least.
Mm-hmm. We're still very early on.
You're still very early on, but it's just hilarious to watch the Lakers go up and down like crazy.
We haven't done one. We haven't won one of these since the season started, but I watched the first couple of Lakers games, and I'm not an NBA head coach. You're not an NBA head coach. We don't get paid money to sit here and say, that's a good idea, that's a bad idea. In what world do you run a lineup if you're the Lakers with Rajon Rondo and Russell Westbrook on the court at the same time? What world does that work in?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to
the lineup that they ran out there. This was during the first two games, I think. They're one of the bench lineups they threw out was Rondo, Westbrook, Kent Bazemore, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard. What?
Kent Bazemore, a Laker legend, by the way.
Where's the spacing coming from? Rondo's the best shooter out there? What lineup is that?
How old do you think Kent Bazemore is?
Oh, he's not a young guy anymore. 34.
He's 32.
Guess. Damn.
How is Kent Bazemore still? Not only he should be on the roster somewhere.
Yeah,
he's getting 30 minutes a game.
Oh yeah, no, he's starting. Well, I mean, their defense is terrible, and they're just hoping that he can guard somebody. But they've kind of figured out, I think, a little bit more what their lineups need to be. But I saw that lineup, and I said, wait a minute. There is a guy on that bench right now. Frank Vogel gets paid a shit ton of money, and this is what he throws out there. He throws out a lineup with no one that can shoot the basketball and two big men at the same time. What lineup is this?
So the last game, I think the Lakers beat the Rockets by 2.
By 2 points.
Anthony Davis started at the center spot.
Yep, because Dwight Howard's been out since that. Did you see the little fight, the little tussle? Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard? Dwight hasn't played much since then.
He has a stiff neck, apparently. Avery Bradley got the start. He played 29 minutes. He scored 2 points. Kent Bazemore played 27 minutes. He scored 7 points. Carmelo Anthony's pretty much getting starting minutes. He actually looked good. He scored 15.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Jordan's trash at this point in his career.
He's just there to catch dunks and get rebounds.
Malik Monk had 1 point in 13 minutes.
Bro, Malik Monk's been terrible. He's been so bad. Tyler and Michael's boy is Austin Reeves, by the way. The little white guy that they run out there. I'm not too keen on what he's supposed to be good at. I think he's the new Caruso, but he can't dunk. So it's been interesting. I will say the last, I think, 2 or 3 games, the LeBron Westbrook being on the court together has looked a little bit better. At first, clearly it was going to take an adjustment because they're both guys that are just best with the ball in their hands, clearly. So that's looked a little bit better. Like I said, Melo off the bench has been a godsend. So the Lakers, I think, will be fine. But like I said, it's so early, man. Like you were just rattling off some of the teams. I think at the end of the season, literally, I looked at it this morning, and the East almost looks like it's flip-flop from what we said was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at it,
I knew these teams are good. I mean, they're going to come out strong.
We had the guys that are in the top 4. I think we had them kind of more as the bottom 4 in the East, and the bottom 4 we had more as the top 4. But it's still early. It's so early now. The Nets are 4-3. They're clearly not going to be the 8 seed. At the end of the year, they're just not going to be, unless injuries.
We can't talk basketball and not talk Ben Simmons. And reports now coming out that Ben Simmons is refusing to talk to the medical staff of the 76ers. He's refusing to talk to team doctors. He doesn't want their help mentally to get him ready for the league. Doesn't want to play basketball. I don't know what to tell you.
He doesn't want to be there, Philadelphia. I don't understand. I don't get this. They have to know this, right? They have to know he doesn't want to be there. He's there doing the bare minimum so that he can collect his paycheck until you trade him. He has zero intention on playing for you. Zero. I know for some unknown reason, the organization wants him to play so badly, but he has zero intent. Bro, are you serious? I don't want to use the team doctors for my mental health. Okay, well, like, how's everything going with, like, the doctor you're using? I don't want to talk about that.
Because he ain't using it.
Because he ain't doing nothing. He's just literally doing the bare. I hate to say this, and this might catch some flack. I hate to say this. He's using the mental health thing as an excuse, bro.
He is.
He's using the mental health thing as an excuse.
He is.
And it's not a knock. Like, dude, some people deal with that stuff. It is real, and 100%. If you are actually going through that, do what you need to do. He's using that shit as an excuse because he knows the team can't come out and be like, "We're fining Ben Simmons," when he's saying he's sitting out because of mental health. Because you look bad. You look real bad as a team if you do that. But bro, he doesn't want to play for you.
So I was talking to some Sixers fans, and now they're on board with. I mean, they're okay with him coming back now.
No,
they're like, whatever. He comes back, he'll figure it out. He'll man up. I'm like, he's never gonna come back and play for y'all. You need to start. And I was talking to one guy, and he's like, listen, this is what we should do. We should trade him for Kyrie Irving. And another guy in the party goes, yeah, but Kyrie's gonna retire. And he says, good.
Yes, good.
Because what that'll do is that'll get that $35 million off the books. Either way, it's a win-win. They get Kyrie Irving. They're one of the best teams in the East. Kyrie Irving retires. They don't have to pay Ben Simmons $35 million anymore.
Kyrie Irving's not going to retire. If the Nets trade Kyrie Irving, he's not going to retire. He's just talking out his ass like he does. He's not going. He would not go anywhere. But it's a wild idea. But I honestly think that would be, for both teams, a win-win. I mean, you're getting nothing right now. You get zero. Both teams are getting zero from their point guards because one refuses to get the vaccine and the other one's a head case. So, I mean, you got to do something.
You got to do something. I don't know.
I would do it if I were both teams.
I would do it for sure. I would do it for sure.
We got to get something.
But see, I'm still a little under the weather, as you can hear in my voice a little bit. Still been battling. We're just battling out here. You know, I've had a head cold for a fucking month. Just duking it out. So we're all gonna cut it off here and cut it short. You know, it was good to get back on here and talk some sports with everybody stopping by. Loving the vibes, loving the Braves victory parade, which will be Friday. Definitely be checking that out. Look out for, maybe tomorrow night we might sit down if we can. And I don't know Remy's schedule, but we'll talk off air. And we're gonna record some stuff for Spotify, just to have some stuff for people to listen to throughout the day, throughout while they're working and stuff like that. And we're gonna talk a little more. We're gonna break stuff down more. Go back to kind of how we was doing with some football and stuff like that. So, yeah. So what we'll probably do is we'll talk some college ball. We'll just talk football in general on the podcast. We'll talk NFL and we'll talk some college stuff too. College football, I've been watching it. It's as depressing as ever. But South Carolina can't. We had a bye week last week, so we lost that game. And
I don't know who this BYE is, but the fact they can't score on our defense is sad.
But all jokes aside, we definitely will talk more college ball. I know some of y'all love it, and I mean we're a glutton for punishment, so we also love college football.
I want to talk about those college football playoff rankings. Dear God,
we'll talk some rankings and stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for just in general. We'll start off with the college stuff, and then we'll go into the NFL stuff in the podcast, releasing out on Spotify and wherever you get your podcast, Stitcher and all those kind of fun stuff. But it was fun, Remy. It was good to get on here and talk some baseball, baby. Let's go. The Braves, they got it done. It's the tomahawk tattoo. It's got to be. Shout out
the key that unlocked it all, dude.
Shout out everybody who's come here, stop by to say hey, and kind of enjoy the ride. Shout out all the grandparents that raised their kids on Braves baseball. That was pretty cool on Facebook. Just listen to everybody's story a little bit. Nobody's story's cooler than the next one, or bigger or better than the next one. It was a very special moment in my life that I'll never forget. And to finally say we're champions, baby, we are world champions. Matt, I called Matt, and he's buying up a shit ton of merch. So he's gonna buy me a hat, Atlanta Braves World Series hat. So that's gonna be pretty cool. But big ups, brother. It was good talking to you, man. It's been a little bit. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. We'll probably record it tomorrow and release it Friday morning. So be on the lookout Friday morning for a nice little pod. We're gonna get back to doing those two, because what we'll end up doing is we'll do live stuff on Tuesday or Wednesdays, and then we'll also release a podcast that comes out later on in the week. And we just kind of talk more and more about. That'll be more our football podcast, because right now it's football season, so we definitely want to dive deep into that kind of stuff. You got anything to tell everybody before we get out of here, Remy?
Dude, just once again, I'm glad you're feeling better. I know we've been talking the last couple of weeks. I've been trying to get us on here and get one of these done, and you've sounded like shit the last couple of weeks. So glad to see you're feeling a little bit better. And of course, I'm sure that there was no sickness going to keep you down after last night. So congratulations on that, man. The story you shared about your grandpa, that was incredible. That's why we do it. But
that's why we're here.
That's why we're here, man. Congrats. Big ups to Braves Nation. And now we settle in, go through the rest of this football season. And by the time that's over with, we'll be closer to knowing who's actually a good basketball team. So, NASCAR Championship Sunday, final race, 4 drivers. Who you got? I know you haven't watched any of it, but you got Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson. Who's the champion?
Martin Truex Jr.
Oh, you're going, okay. I mean, he's, who knows? It's just who finishes the best out of those 4. That's champion.
Tune in Sunday.
Kyle Larson's won 9 races this year. None of it matters.
That's so dumb.
It comes down to this race.
But big ups, you guys. Let's go, Chase from Westwood. Big ups, you guys. Big ups to chat. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out and everything. Definitely tell everybody about us. We appreciate your support as always. Much love.
Click the YouTube link that I posted on Facebook, and please, please, please go like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Like and subscribe, baby. Let's get those numbers up. That'll be it for me and Rim Breezy and the Hard Pass crew. We appreciate y'all stopping by for the live. We will holler at y'all next week live, but also we'll be talking to y'all through podcast on Friday. We'll holler at you later. Peace.
Peace.